Well, we have the Florio Flyer 60, and we spent all the time building in my workshop, and we're now finally at the flying field. But you don't want to just put your airplane together and head out to the flying field and throw it into the air right away. What you want to do is you want to take it a little bit slower and go over everything one more time. You know, you never can tell if something is loosened in the process of transporting it to the air, to the flying field, or while you had it stored away. So I like to start at the tail, and so we go over to the tail, and first thing I do is I give everything a little pull, make sure that all of the hinges are still in there okay, that nothing's split, that the glue didn't dry out or anything like that. Same thing with the elevator, give it a little tug. I want to check the tail wheel, make sure that the tail wheel lock collar is on there so the wheel doesn't fall off. The same thing over here, I'm going to go and look at all of my control linkages, make sure that the servos and the servo wheel, the servo arm is where it's supposed to be, that we have our retainers on our control linkages, and then the servo screws are in there nice and tight. Working our way forward, and we get into the center section, and this is where our batteries are. There's our receiver, our throttle controls, and everything like that. You can see it right here. The battery is held in place with some nice 2 layers of double-sided sticky tape, but it's not touching anything, so there's no chance of it wearing or rubbing against something. This is our throttle linkage here to the engine, and we'll make sure that this is all tight here also. The connector itself is tight, and we also make sure that the receiver itself is properly installed and all the wires are connected. And also a little tip, instead of trying, when we put the wing into place, instead of trying to use the aileron servo leads and plug it directly into our receiver, what I've done is I've added 2 3-inch servo extensions, and I've actually identified one with a piece of tape. This way, when I put the wing on, I can put the aileron servos and plug them in here and here, instead of trying to dig in and try and plug it directly into the receiver itself. And also, matching one lead that has tape on it and one that doesn't will plug our wing aileron servos into the right connectors every time. So that's the mid part, and then we do the same thing up here in the front where the power is. So start at the front, want to make sure that the propeller is attached properly, that the propeller nut in the front is tightened. Again, the linkage for the throttle is checked. We also want to give it a little twist and little pull, make sure that the engine itself is mounted properly and that the screws haven't come loose. And finally, we want to make sure that our fuel lines and our vent line aren't touching the engine, and also that they aren't kinked. So that's it. We're going to put the airplane together, and we'll start the engine and we'll give it a first flight. This is how we're going to put the wing on. We turn the wing over and lay it down here. And so now we have this aileron extension, and we have this one. They both have tape, so we put those 2 together like this. And then we have this one, which matches the one. There's 2 without tape. Again, we match those 2 together. We'll give it a little tug, make sure both of them are on nice and tight. Then we flip it over. And we're going to put the wing in place, and then we match how I've covered it. We just match these lines here with the sides of the fuselage, and we know that the wing will be centered on the wing. And then to hold it in place, we're just going to put a bunch of rubber bands on. Number 64 rubber bands at your local hobby shop. These are from Hobbyco, but any brand will do. We start up in the front, pull it back, and put it over the dowel in the back. And we do the same thing on the other side. And what we're doing is we're crisscrossing them. And so that's it, but that's not really enough. We're going to do that 2 or 3 times. And so we'll probably have anywhere between 16 and 20 sets of rubber bands on there. Rubber bands are going to give your airplane and the wing a little bit of give, and that's going to minimize any damage. So rubber bands might be old school, but no one's come up with a better way to hold it in place so your airplane doesn't get damaged.